Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Tuesday, January 9th, and we are allegedly one day away from the Bitcoin ETF approval. All of the rumors, CNBC was the most recent to report, or all the rumors have reported that tomorrow is likely the day. We don't know what time. Wouldn't be shocked if it was more towards the end of the day. But it can obviously happen anytime between 8 in the morning and probably 4:30 in the evening. So let's go ahead and dive in. This probably won't be too long of a session because we kind of went over what we expect to happen on the approval yesterday, and we don't expect anything too crazy today, although Bitcoin is the most likely asset that I would say to continue to increase into the ETF approval. But total market cap right around 1.71 trillion. Bitcoin up 2.5%. ETH down. ETH BTC got clobbered yesterday. We'll talk about that briefly. Bitcoin daily sentiment still quite bullish. ETH, dripping down more towards that neutral level. Average daily sentiment across everything has dropped slightly, but still in that neutral territory. Starting to get a lot more tweets, and of course, we do have close to 80 billion trading volume, which is what we'd like to see. Some crap coins rising, also BSV, so may be worth taking a look at high beta Bitcoin assets like Stacks, BSV, BCH. And then when we look at stablecoin exchange flows, definitely seeing a little bit more onto exchanges than off. If we saw a lot of money coming off exchanges, that would certainly worry me more so, but not extremely worried with these style of inflows right here. So move over to Bitcoin daily sentiment. Bitcoin sentiment obviously still rising. This is good and also kind of an assumed thing. If everybody's excited about the ETF, as most of retail is, we would expect increased sentiment. We also have more trading volume and more tweet volume, so people are definitely excited about Bitcoin. And a little bit of the opposite with ETH. The much lower sentiment, much less tweet volume, trading volume still up, so people are definitely still interested. But clearly, Bitcoin is where all the attention is right now. Looking at DXY, not much has really changed since late last week. We're kind of still in that decision zone of if you break above 102.4, you'll head up to this level right here, 103. Break below 101.9, drop to maybe 101.7, maybe even lower. So, but again, we did reference the CPI on Thursday. This will likely move around CPI pretty heavily. But the good news is that equities, obviously, I think when we spoke yesterday, equities are around 47.26, maybe 47.30. Obviously, they did move a lot higher into the end of the session, into the evening, pulled back a little bit, right back to the level where we spoke yesterday, which also was the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average. So we always like to pay attention to the 200 estimated moving averages. And of course, also the weekly VWAP. As you can see, weekly VWAP was resistance all last week, and now is kind of flipping into support. So remember what we said yesterday, we do not want a lower high or a lower high. We definitely want to get above this level to keep bullish market structure, because this lower low certainly confusing. So if we formed a lower high here, it would be the expectation of possibly 4640 or 4600. So this is certainly good, but of course, as you can see, we are getting clipped right around that 4765 level, which was the high of last night. So we do want to get above 4765 to make it back up to 4795. If we get rejected here, it would not shock me if we either dropped back down to 4748 or again back down to this 4730 number, which we met early this morning. So if we drop here, definitely want to hold here. If we do fall below this support level, it'll likely mean a lower high, which would then we would start targeting these lower levels, first being 4693, then 4643, then 4600. So, but again, I think CPI will be very big on Thursday. So let's just hope that 4730 holds into Thursday so that we have less worry about that lower high. Looking at Bitcoin, we did talk about, breaking above 46K. Next stop would be 47K. We made it all the way up to 47.2K. Obviously, it's really stopped around 47K. But if you got a couple of those extra dollars, then kudos to you. So we're basically just sitting in a range right here. Again, I said yesterday above 47K, I would expect 48K. 48K definitely still plausible, but definitely doesn't look super attractive right now. Nothing you can really do with this, in my opinion, on lower time frame trades. So if it breaks above 47.2, target 48. If it breaks below 45.5, then you would target 44.5, 44.6. And then again, just in case people didn't pay attention to yesterday's show, this is more or less what I'm expecting from Bitcoin, upon an approval. So let's just say, let's assume we're at 48K. Upon approval, I would expect something like maybe 58K, maybe at worst 53K, but that's 10 to 20%, right? So then after that, let's say we rise 20%, I would expect us to drop another 10 to 20, maybe even 30. So at the lowest, I would expect 40K following that. The best case scenario would obviously be holding 48K or holding 44.5K. And then following that dip, I would expect, us to rise back to near wherever we started. So I can definitely see 20% up, 30% down, 20% back up. Maybe it's not as bad as that. So let's maybe 20% up, 20% down, and then 8% back up, which is to get right back where we were. But more or less what I'm expecting is something like this, where we zoom higher, sell off, trap all the longs, and then get right back to where we were. And then, we can range for a little bit before we figure out the next kind of set of legs. And that'll be dependent on demand for the ETF. So if, BlackRock and Fidelity are reporting, millions and millions of buys and demand, then that's obviously a good sign. If we're getting reports that not many people are buying the ETF, that is certainly not a good sign. So let's move over to ETH. Pretty boring in my opinion. Did have a nice zoom yesterday, gave back most of those gains. So the way I'm looking at ETH is, above 2305, tag 2353, 2355, very similar to what we did yesterday. Above 2355, start targeting 2440, which is, I believe those local highs from back in December 27th. And then if we drop below 2225, then I would expect us to drop down to 2155 or at least 2165, which is that low from January 7th. So ETH pretty boring in my opinion right now. Not the most attractive asset. But as we talked about yesterday, I'm going to bring up the ETH BTC chart. And so we did drop below that 39-cent level, right? So, the next level that I really like to see hold in my opinion is, why is this not helping me? Okay. The next level I'd like to see hold is 46 cents. So if we drop down to 46, not the worst buy in the world for ETH, especially, this is like after the BTC approval. If we drop, pretty heavily down here to 46, maybe make some buys at 46, but if we basically drop down and then come right back up and break back above 49 cents, I think that's a fantastic buy right there. It would kind of be a triple bottom, definitely likely power of 3. And then you kind of, hold 49 cents, maybe a stop at wherever the low is, maybe that 46-cent level. And then we try and ride ETH up. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. But again, the thesis is, after the Bitcoin approval, all that attention towards the Bitcoin ETF kind of washes away. And then we move to the next set of news, which is the ETH ETF, because there was spot ETH ETF filings that happened during 2023. So that'll be kind of the next set of news. So hopefully once the dust settles on the Bitcoin trade, obviously still expecting Bitcoin to go up, but I think ETH will kind of take over and have the same trade that Bitcoin did earlier in the year around the ETF, meaning ETH will outperform. So will high beta ETH assets, L1s, L2s, ETH competitors, etc. So that's what I'm expecting. We'll continue to talk about that in the future, but just want everyone to be prepared in case you see a massive ETH BTC dip. I will be interested in likely buying that for a trade moving forward. And like high beta ETH assets, ETH, so obviously ETH is the asset, but I would be shocked if Sol wasn't a high beta asset. I would be shocked if TIA wasn't a high beta asset. Matic should be a high beta asset. OP should be a high beta asset. Metis should be a high beta asset. Where am I looking here? SEI should be a high beta asset. SUI should be a high beta asset. I would be shocked if AI projects in this context aren't doing well, such as Render, maybe FET as well. Filecoin possibly as well. There's going to be others that we'll discuss, but just to kind of just give you a few to start slapping on your list. And obviously, if Sol is doing well, would expect Bonk to probably come back. Here's what BCH looks like, but obviously BSV seems to be getting most of that. I guess I don't have BSV saved, probably because I hate Roger Ver. But let's just see what BSV is doing because I saw it have a good day. Am I crazy? Did I not just add BSV? Oh, there it is. Okay. So yeah, BSV, very interesting actually. Big spike. And let's look at the BCH chart again. Huh. Kind of similar. So I definitely, BCH doesn't look that bad. I mean, you're just kind of making these higher lows, right? So I actually don't hate BCH, maybe up to 330. This probably be a quick trade though, because let's say the Bitcoin ETF gets announced and this zooms up and then zooms right back down. So I don't hate that at all. I may actually dip my toes into a BCH spot trade because that's a 30% trade just back up to that ACH. Oh, thank you, new type. Roger Ver is BCH, Craig Wright is BSV. So I got that mixed up. Good call there. But it's very interesting that BSV pumped, BCH has not pumped. BCH definitely looks very similar to BSV prior to the pump. It's almost an identical formation right there, just a little bit more dragged out. So I'm probably gonna dip my toes into a BCH a spot long. Probably not going to add leverage, maybe 2x, but I don't think I want to get too crazy there. So probably, yeah, because you're looking at a 30% move, so don't really need to add leverage for a 30% expected move. So, and at worst, probably, sell up at 288, which will probably be what, 10%, 15, yeah. So okay, so sorry for the distraction there, but yeah, sometimes some good trades pop up in your head as you're looking at the charts. So mainly, moral of the story is, I would not be shocked if Bitcoin continued to move higher into tomorrow's announcement. I do expect a spike on the announcement, then a sell-off, and then us to probably, mature back to normal price. If ETH BTC spikes super low, like down to 46 cents, maybe a little bit lower, but then quickly jumps right back up above 49 cents, definitely going to be entering around 49 cents, and we'll be buying more of those high beta assets as well. So just a couple of these comments in the stream. Thanks for the live stream. You're very welcome. 1%. Appreciate you joining us. And then new type also said, I keep seeing ALPH, Alephium on Twitter. Not sure if many others seen this coin, but sheesh. Thanks again for your daily updates. So let's check out ALPH, Alephium, Gate.io. Oh, wow. Let's see where it's trading too. So USD. So it's mainly trading on, it looks like perps are on Kraken. We got some perps on, oh no, that's Alpha. So, okay, so it's only trading on Bitmart, Mexi, and Gate.io. And then obviously, so very interesting. This could be one of those like pre-exchange listing type trades. I mean, this is crazy. This has not popped up on my radar at all. And I'm actually very upset that none of my friends told me about this. But okay, so very similar to whatever that coin that we talked about last week, maybe SCI, SUI. It's obviously in price discovery because the previous ATH was over here at like 1.92. So it's obviously well above that. So you're in price discovery. This definitely looks unattractive, especially heading into the ETF approval tomorrow, because I'm expecting a lot of volatility. So if something looks a little bit topped out, I would expect it to continue to be topped out, at least in the near term. So, when we see candles like this, we kind of think very similarly to the candles down here, right? So, very similar type of candle structure, right? Doji. And then it ended up dropping from peak to trough, dropped about 50%. So at minimum, I would definitely be patient with this asset. Why is whatever? I'll definitely be patient with this one. My, first glance, where you would want it to hold is this 1.98, 1.99 level, which is that previous all-time high. And obviously I'm looking at it on the Gate IO. So though that ATH could be different depending on the exchange, but at, minimum, you want this to hold. If we drop, let's say 50% again, which doesn't seem like it's out of the ordinary, it would be actually right back to this support level here, which was previously resistance, which lines up with a trading range from back when it first launched. So, I would continue to be patient with this, but if you do see it holding this level right here and just kind of chopping around, maybe dips and then comes right back up right there, that'd be a really good entry in my opinion. So, but that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Said it was going to be a short session, still 15 minutes long. So good luck. Happy trading. Tomorrow should be very interesting. I don't know, obviously, if we're going to have the show prior to or after the ETF announcement. So we'll obviously come to you when we will give you some added analysis, but nothing is really going to change too much in terms of our outlook. Again, expecting probably anywhere from 10 to 20% spike. Maybe higher than 10 to 20% spike lower. And then, going to hang out right around where price was prior to the ETF announcement. Of course, that's just my guess. It's my assumption. I could be completely wrong, but I would not be shocked at up and then down, around the announcement, just because most of it is going to be priced in, but obviously you're going to get some crazy volatility as everyone smashes random buttons, around the announcement. So my biggest suggestion to you, chill on the leverage, hang out in spot, have some money to buy lower if you want, and then start thinking about future narratives if you are continually bullish on crypto. Look for those airdrops, look for those, up and coming coins, look for those narratives such as, ETH ecosystem getting a boost after the BTC ETF is done. So plenty of thoughts. I've got, again, I could be completely wrong on things, but we are usually more often right than wrong. So feeling pretty good going into it, but my biggest suggestion is just protect your capital. Don't overextend yourself. Make sure you're ready. And on the rare off chance that it gets denied, you may see 20, 30, 40, 50% drops across assets if there is a denial. If there's a delay, I would expect maybe 5, 10, 20% max. But if there is a denial, things will get bad very quickly. Doesn't mean that long term, things can't still look good, but it would be very bad in the short term, at least. So just be prepared for everything, but obviously continue to keep your hopes up. So good luck, happy trading. See everybody tomorrow.